14th floor of Jester Center at the University of Texas. And we parachuted a lab mouse out the window one time. You're not supposed to open the windows. We opened the window, like it almost sucked everything out of the dorm room. Oh, wow. Last we saw, we made the parachute a little bit too big. Last we saw, he was heading into the sunset in the west.
He was parasailing,
Yeah,
right?
he went down like Travis. Yeah.
Too funny.
I worked in the biology labs down there, so I could always get little white mice and stuff. They had thousands of them.
Are we on?
Yeah, rolling. We're ready to roll.
It's Monday, August the 21st, 2023 at 10 a.m. I'll make a motion that the special meeting of the Navarro County Commissioners Court come to order.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Grant, seconded by Commissioner Perry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And we are in session. I'd ask for everyone, please stand for opening prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this day and the many blessings you give to us each day that we live here. We ask your wisdom and guidance you share with us as we talk over the matters of the county today. We ask you to forgive us the many ways that we may have failed you. It's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. All right, any public comments?
Nope.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to number 5, approve and pay bills as submitted by the auditor, paid 8/21 of 2023. Any comment, auditor?
The reason why we have this out here is so that we pay for Mr. Brewer's truck, but also I need the dollar amount of what we need to pay the city. On the debt,
Okay,
and then I can go ahead and get it taken care of today.
okay. Well, I visited with them. Now, just last week, and I essentially told her we were willing to pay the 40% of the ambulance replacement and 3 personnel. We also pay the $562,959.50 of the deficit that was due to what had occurred with ambulance service through the years, and also sharing any overpayment that should happen with collections. If that were to come about, we would pay the $51,923 on animal shelter. And her reply was that they have determined, based on data, that 50-50 is an equitable division for the city and the county on the ambulance and personnel part of it. And said she was also asking for additional data from Allegiance. And if it proves to be different, that she'd let us know. So, don't know if I can give you all the numbers that you want, but
No, I just on the debt only.
yeah, the debt, yeah, she didn't reject that. Let me just say,
And she would.
yeah, I think it was, because that's what they all owe also against it, so anyway.
Terry, is that your recommendation? We go ahead and pay the debt?
If we're gonna do it, let's do it now for this fiscal year
You know what,
and just
Okay.
get it out of the way.
I'm good with that.
Well, like I said before, I think that 50% is too much. According to their own data, it's 33%. I thought 40% was generous on our part.
this is on the ambulance and 3 people thing
Yeah.
part, yeah.
And, when they bring that kind of thing to us, there's no discussion with us. I shouldn't say that. They tell us that they're gonna hire 3 people and buy 2 ambulances, but, it's not like we can say, no, we don't want to do that. It's pretty much up to them, but I still think that 50% is too high.
Question I have, and then I've asked y'all. What are they gonna do if we just pay them 40%? I don't know what their recourse is.
Well, we start a new deficit that we owe.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know exactly what happened.
Well, the data that they're referring to is based on the survey that they did themselves,
Yeah.
which is, I'm not saying it's not on the up and up, I'm just saying that it's, you know, for us to do our due diligence for the citizens, that needs to be questioned. You know, where did this number come from and who came up with it? It came from them. And, you know, the research to come up with it was done by them. And like I said, it may be on the up and up, but it needs to be questioned.
Well, when they said that 30% of the time for the county and the runs, they insinuated they spent more time on county runs, but then their own report shows that it's a third of the time by their own due diligence. And we're paying the 3 EMT paramedics to do other things also while responding to 33% of the time for us, which nowhere else you could get away with that.
So you have the number you need, Terry?
Yes. So I will pay the debt of $562,960.
With the understanding that if that changes and they, and we overpay, then we have a refund coming.
Yes.
And she said that number changes every day.
That's what I'm saying. How do you know? You won't know. So it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when she sat here and said that number changes daily because that number is based on their ambulance, their personnel going out on the calls that Allegiant does not, because Allegiant has their own collections agency. This is on, so it should not be that much.
Well, when they said there were 5 runs with this ambulance last month and 3 of them were city and 2 were county. That's 40%,
It's 20%,
right?
yeah, 40%.
So
Still,
then-
and still, they're just asking for too much money. Bottom line is. By their own numbers.
Well, what with number 5, we're just, if we approve that, we're just approving to pay the debt, we're not.
That's correct.
Okay,
That's all I'm asking.
okay. Well, I make a motion that we approve and pay bills as submitted by the county auditor to include the debt to the city of Corsicana for ambulance service.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Brewer, seconded by Commissioner Moore. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 6 is consideration of approving precinct 4 to purchase a 2022 Dodge Ram 3500 flatbed.
We had a little bit of money we made off of selling surplus equipment, and Terry approached me. We were gonna put in the budget for next year to go ahead and purchase another haul truck. Because when we go out to job sites, we're pulling our dump trailer with a 1/2-ton pickup that's not rated to pull that much, and we're gonna wear it out if we don't. So she approached me about going ahead and doing one on this budget this year, and that way we don't have to worry about it next year. So went and found one at the Century. It's a 22 model Dodge 1 ton. And, it's pretty clean. It only has, I think it's 32,000 miles on it right now.
Right.
So it's pretty good buy. And they are part of the buy board, so we don't have to go out for bids on it. It's gonna be $68,288, I believe. So I make a motion that we, approve precinct 4 to purchase a 22 Dodge Ram 3500 flatbed.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Brewer, seconded by Commissioner Perry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 7 is consideration of accepting and awarding bid for adult probation roof annex number 3. Travis,
Morning, gentlemen.
how are you?
We received 2 bids. Tejas, local guy, was the cheapest. 189, 736. One change. And then the second one was 194, 347. And 83 cents. Difference of $5,031.83.
Who was the second one from?
Vera Rubin, out of Watson Hatch.
Vera?
Vera.
And this was coming out of this year's budget,
Yes,
but so we're gonna accept and award it today. I mean, I say keep it local.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept and award a bid for adult probation roof annex 3 for Tejas Roofing.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Grant and you, Mr. Moore, Commissioner Moore, and seconded by Commissioner Moore. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll move on now. Thank you, Travis. Appreciate you. To the budget workshop. And Terry, is there anything you need to bring us up on?
no, sir.
Maybe short and sweet then. Or you said, you know, the other part, we need to talk about that, we can certainly talk about it, but
I
just up to
did,
y'all.
there is one, I did go back and look through the commissioner's court minutes. We do have an agreement with Mildred ISD, Rice ISD, the city of Dawson, and, Grove ISD for juvenile and mental transport.
Yep. Okay.
We do have those agreements,
Are they the same money we talked about last week?
yes.
Do we need agreements with all entities?
Well, I haven't got to finish looking yet. My system kind of froze. But, I was trying to go back first off to see how many agreements we already have in place. Now, we do need to talk about redoing that agreement with the new rates that the sheriff wanted to go up on. So that's the only thing that I have.
And I, did a little more research on when we're discussing the fire marshal. You don't have to have a fire marshal for what we were discussing wanting to be done. Of course, if there's a death in a structure fire, something like that, we have the state fire marshal that can come in, but for the smaller things like we were wanting to do, you don't have to have a fire marshal for that. You can just ask someone to do it. So if that's something that, like the, deputy constable, if that was something we want to discuss, including his duties, we could. But anyway, we don't have to have a fire marshal to do the things we were discussing.
What do y'all think?
Yeah, we can use somebody on an as-needed contract basis.
And we invited, the constables here today to discuss that position, so whenever we get ready for that.
Mr. Rachel.
Good morning. Guys, face obstacles every time that you see success in what you're doing. And that's just part of it. I'm not sure, I'm not sure why I was summoned. I couldn't make it last week. Got a call and said, "Can you be here tomorrow?" Moving my kid in for college. Sorry, didn't know anything about it. Wasn't aware of that. But we're here to discuss any questions that you guys may have, or rumors that may not have been accurate or conveyed.
I think one of the questions that came up was, is this person gonna have enough work to keep them busy for a full-time position?
Absolutely.
Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. From speaking to you, each of you, about your needs and how often, how many man hours that you're spending to go pick up stuff, haul it back, try to figure out. And it's my understanding that those situations where you've got mail, trash, tires, things like that, where we can try to haul, investigate, go down the road, see who these people were, set up some game cameras and spots that keep getting stuff dumped, is something we discussed. It's a plethora, it's untouched. And each of you have acknowledged that this is a problem. This has been something that Jason, we've talked about for years. And when Terry and I started talking about this 2 or 3 years ago, we were in the middle of COVID. And then there were some funds and some things that became available through that. And talking to her and understanding how some of that can be utilized to help serve these problems that you guys are having. Not to mention the other side of the hat, where there's 4 of us. Somebody's on vacation, somebody's sick, somebody's out of pocket. There's a need, there's an absolute need for a full-time position. And I believe, give it a couple of years, you're gonna say, "I wish we'd have done this sooner, we need more help." I truly believe that, based on everything you guys have talked about and what I know about the needs across the street. The hearings, the increased number of papers, the uniqueness of what we're having to do as constables, as opposed to what their job was 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Things that are different now, the increased demands based on the COVID situations, the problems that we've had with that, giving people additional notice. Judge, you deal with that when these people appeal and come across to your place. Some of you have rent houses, you understand that. We're doing everything we can to support the process. But I can tell you that the work is increasing. It's just continuing to do this, because the courts over there, the amount of money that someone can sue somebody for over there has increased. So now somebody's got a $15,000 debt over something that used to be over here, they're going over there now. And so now papers are increasing. The number of people that are wanting trials, well, we're having to go out and summon witnesses. There was about 2 weeks ago, I had to drive to Waxahachie twice to try to locate a witness on a case for a summons. That's a half a day. So the need is just, it's more than it's ever been. And the papers are more than they've ever been. So when somebody goes out of pocket, when somebody's in training, somebody's on vacation, something happens, we gotta have help. It's just that way. And I think, and again, visiting with you before, I think you understand that. And I think you've seen that. And we've talked about this before. So I'm here to try to address that, answer any questions. I never, ever, I don't know where this got conveyed, said that I want somebody just sitting over there on their heels across the street, sitting in a chair doing nothing. And that was never said, that was never the invitation. It was the fact that we have hearings going on over there almost every day almost every morning. Dan had an eviction this morning before he could get here. I've got some this week. I mean, it's just, there's something every single day. We can't always be on a writ of possession where we're emptying out a house and be in court at the same time. We're trying to juggle as much as we can. And we're not complaining about that, but we are asking for the continued support that this position will help us remedy some of these situations.
Dan, you want to speak up?
I mean, I just, back pretty much everything that he said, it's, I've seen, y'all appointed me on, October of 21. And my caseload this year has just exploded compared to what I had the first year and a half I was in office. I mean, I'll be honest with you, first year and a half, I thought, man, this is a great job. You know, it's a great retirement gig, wasn't doing much at all. But it has really exploded. I was in court 3 days, 2 weeks ago. It's unusual, doesn't happen every week, but we're just seeing a vast increase. And with what y'all's needs are, with the dumping issues and things, I think there's a big need. I mean, we all know this county's doing nothing but growing. And I think this position is a great compromise that can help us. And again, he's not going to do things for us on a regular basis, but there's times that 2 or 3 of us are gone because we've got to do our 40-hour schools just like y'all have to go every so often. Some of y'all's stuff, when you go, you know, it just gets put on the back burner. Y'all are on the phone on your breaks dealing with it stuff. With us, we've got to be there. Somebody's got to be in court. Somebody's got to go out to writ of possessions. I've done more writs of possessions in the last 2 months than I've done in 2 years, 2.5 years that I've been in the office, or 2 years that I've been in the office. So there is a big need and an increase. And I think this position is a great compromise to help y'all with y'all's issues and to help us as well. We'll be glad to entertain any questions that you have.
Questions, guys?
Well, I'll start. First off, I want to thank Bobby Rachel for all the work and effort he put into all this, the job description and all those things. I know it took up a lot of time. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate the work that y'all do. I think y'all know that. And like you said, for several years, I've been championing this position. We need it bad. I do think that with it being the first year that we implement it, I think that more than likely, he would be very busy. And more than likely, in a year or 2, we may need another one. But in the interim, I would rather see it on a part-time basis the first year, just to see how busy that he really would be. Now, if we added some of this some of this stuff that we just talked about to this position without having to hire a fire marshal, then of course he would be even a little busier even. But with it being new and not knowing what all we're going to require them to do, I don't know that I want to jump into it feet first, that deep right off the bat. I do think though, even at a part-time position, I do think that he still would be able to benefit y'all, and y'all still would get some use out of that person to help lighten y'all's load. And if it passes and does become a full-time position, part of our job is heading off problems before they arise. And one problem that I could see, a potential problem I could see, would be what we pay this person. Because if this person's making more than some of these other people, they're gonna be in here. I know it happens every year I've been in here, and I'm telling you, it happens. I know it's gonna happen before it happens. I feel it now, like when it's gonna rain. But it happens.
When's that going to happen?
Y'all know what I'm talking about. I mean, somebody comes in here and you're gonna have a train coming out the door, won't be anything. It always happens. So that would have to be discussed a little more, in my opinion. Um, But I do think it's a needed position. Can't think of another position in Navarro County that we need worse. And like I said, we may have a whole office full of them in 2 or 3 years. But in the beginning, I would like to feel it out a little bit first. But that's just my opinion. And like I said, Bobby, I appreciate all the work you did. And I thank you for it because, I mean, we need it, there's no doubt.
Well, the work that was done, I mean, it took joint effort. I mean, I visited with all the constables before we did this. They agreed as well. You guys have discussed this with us for years. We talked about that. It's my understanding, and unless something's changed, it's my understanding that we did discuss this being a full-time position, and it was voted and approved. And I truly believe that when you have that many hats, like you're talking about, I can't imagine between the training and the things that are gonna be necessary the first year and figuring out and setting up stuff. I just don't know how, I just can't see it right now, how it would be a part-time position. So.
And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it wouldn't be nice for them to be full-time. We probably can keep them busy. I just want to make sure, you know, that that's the case. And I understand there's some training involved. They'll have to go to a specialized school to be able to enforce some of these deals that we're going to ask of them. I don't know how long that school is or how much time that'll take, but I'm going to assume several weeks, several weeks.
Yeah, and so you have, I mean, obviously there's different schools for different things, as you
Right.
know. And some of this stuff's online, and so we'll try to utilize that as much as possible. But again, if it's 3 or 4 hours a day online, then that's what that is.
Sure.
The desire is always to be good stewards of the money in the county. And knowing, obviously, we know this is a very unique position. And knowing that this person is going to be serving 4 different precincts in this county for these things, you know, a 30-minute drive here, a 45-minute drive there, an hour back on this side. It just seems like, in my opinion, based on the calls and the things that you guys discussed, that there's gonna be a lot of driving back and forth across the county.
And on the, and, you know, my thought on it is, I mean, we pick up trash on a daily basis. If I get there and it's a load of tires, or it's a bag full of leaves, or whatever it is, you know, it's everything. It could be a bunch of dead pigs. I'm not calling this guy on that.
Right.
Now, if I get there and there's some boxes with some envelopes and some addresses and some names, yeah, I'm gonna call him. I'm not gonna call him on every dumping situation, but I'm gonna call him if there's some potential evidence there.
Absolutely. And the other thing we talked about, though, if you have certain locations that are repeat spots, whether they're pigs or tires or whatever, we can take this person, set up some cameras and try to figure out some of this stuff.
And for the
And
most
be
part,
proactive.
and for the most part, most of the time, it's not in the same area. I mean, it's almost all, you know, because of course we would have thought of setting up game cameras a million times, but there's probably places where people do dump on a regular basis. But for me, for the most part, it's all over. I'd have to have one on every mailbox, on every road, you know. And I don't want you to think I'm arguing with you because I'm not, you know, when our budget's, you know, it's fairly tight. And I just want to make sure I'm doing my due diligence and,
I would say from being on the training end of law enforcement for as many years as I was, being a retired chief of police and having to hire people and just talking with the chiefs out there now, I think it's gonna be impossible to get anybody on a part-time basis.
and I do too.
I mean, and part of that is I go to a retired breakfast with law enforcement every month. And I've had numbers of opportunities for some of them to take on part-time jobs and nobody's interested. I mean, they're retired, they don't want any part of it. And the younger guys that are coming into the business, they need full-time because they've got families and stuff. We got 2 applicants for this position. After being out on the county website for about a month roughly. So the numbers are hard to come by. I mean, of course, you know, being past Corsicana, how far down they've been. The sheriff's office, how hard they have keeping people and getting people. So if we go part-time, and I'm just gonna say this, I think we might as well just scratch it all together. I think we're wasting our time to do part-time.
Yeah, I have no
but-
doubt it'd be harder for sure.
I'm like Bobby, you know, my understanding is it was voted on, it was approved. I would like to see us move forward with it. Like I said, I think we're gonna see a full benefit for the county. And, you know, if we've got to do some of this other with the fire departments and things that's been discussed, you know, we can, I think that can be added in and help out there as well too. Cause I'm just like y'all are. I want it to be a full-time. I want him to be busy 8 hours a day, because if he's not, then it's not doing any of us, and I pay taxes just like everybody else does. That's my tax money going out the door. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Oh, I don't disagree. It would definitely be harder to find somebody part-time if you can.
Right. I think the salary we looked at, Jason, we looked at a deputy recruit. That means somebody that's hired in that's not even out of training. So it's, once they get out of training and move up to that regular full-time, deputy 1 position, this is the very bottom of that. This is the guy that walks in the door. They have the police officer license, but they're rookie. They don't know anything. This is that salary that was discussed, so that there was no issue with this position making more than what somebody else was making in that position, or any position like that. So does that make sense?
Is that position, with this position that's paid full-time, is that more than y'all make?
Just base salary? Yeah, it is.
Okay, would that make y'all want to come in and make that salary or above because this position is paying more than y'all?
And I'll be honest, I'm gonna ask you for a salary increase every
Oh,
year.
yeah, everybody.
You know, I mean, you know how that goes. And when the day comes and y'all can do it, I took this job knowing what the salary was. Would I like more money? You bet I would, just like y'all would like more money, you know, but it is what it is. And if I decide that can't do it at that salary, then I'll hand you my letter and I'll go to the house and enjoy full retirement, you know, so. But no, it's, we would love for it to be up there, Jason, but we know how that process works, and, you know, if we don't agree with it, then we need to go find something else to do ourselves. I mean, that's the way I feel about it, truly.
Well, like I said, I'm not arguing with y'all at
No.
all. Somebody's got to say the ugly things.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
I appreciate it. The base salary is more. It's about 10,000 more than we're making. But when you talk about the mileage, the stipend that we get that goes with that, the cell phone, and how that goes towards our retirement, when you look at what's being contributed to retirement, our salary, what's going in retirement, is more than what this position will be. Does that make sense? Because I'm sure that y'all saw that letter that came out about a month ago, that where the mileage and the vehicle can be added back for our retirement purposes.
It affects us also.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at what's going to retirement, yeah, we have more going to retirement. And we understand that. I understood this going in. I wasn't sure we were gonna get much less one. So, but we have to create some sort of salary scale. You guys hear this all the time. Well, she or they or make, you hear this all the time. If we don't create some sort of salary scale that's comparable to what's going on at the sheriff's office, we don't want to cause any problems with them. None at all. So that's why this position is at the recruit level. That's what it's set at, not supervisor, not anything else. That's where it's set at.
Sheriff?
Yeah, my only question to that is, and I don't have a dog in that fight, except for if we use the sheriff's office for a evaluation process and salary, does that position that's created, does it have a take-home vehicle? Because if it does, that's a better benefit package than these courthouse security officers that are making that entry-level position. And there's a big difference right there, because they have to drive their own vehicle to and from work. And if they're being handed the keys to a vehicle to drive back and forth, that separates that benefit package.
And also, this, for the most part, this is a Monday through Friday daytime position. You know, where that recruit may be working midnights.
What I'm saying to you is that person who, and I'm just giving you an example, that is a courthouse security officer who may have been here already for years. They can, if we're trying to, you know, keep it on the level, then they automatically could create a position where they transition to this other and their benefit package is already better. Coming in day one, than someone who's been here years because they're gonna get a take-home vehicle, fuel paid for, and all that goes along with that. Not saying good or bad, I'm just simply stating the fact, if that's part of the package.
The base pay for this new position is still at 48,850, whereas the base pay for the sheriff's department is increased a lot more than what this is, because of the fact of their staff and because of the fact they're getting across the board, whereas this position is not.
Can we determine what the vehicle allowance will be worth to this position?
Whatever the cost of the vehicle is, and then we'll have to do it for the IRS ruling. So there's a difference in that. But because he's law enforcement, that does not apply to him.
What's that?
The IRS ruling because on the take-home vehicle.
Make no mistake, I'm not chucking rocks at it, I'm simply saying that if their position as a take-home vehicle, if that, you know, these folks here that are working here, that's the difference in the compensation package. It would be more attractive to someone who's already here in a role to transition over.
Would it be a take-home vehicle, or would it be here and they come to work and then get in?
Well, I think that's determination we talked about. If we don't have a vehicle or the opportunity to go buy a used vehicle or whatever the situation ends up being, if we don't have that, then they're gonna have to have one. So there's gonna have to be somebody that provides that. If you want them to drive something, then they're gonna have to pay mileage on that.
No, I mean, what I mean is like, well, they carry big park at the courthouse and then they drive to work.
I don't care how you want it. If they get called at 8 o'clock in the morning, they're gonna need to be in that vehicle ready to roll.
My personal thought would be, it would be a take-home vehicle, would be my personal thought. I mean, because they're gonna be subject to being called, just as the deputy that's got a take-home vehicle.
If you're looking at adding other positions, you know, like Jason's talking about, another role or another hat for that position, you know, what's the, how many calls for service that we had for that?
It would be rare. Building occupancy, for example, something like that. Like I said, I'm sorry.
Like in a vacant situation.
No, like, for instance, if somebody builds a new building out in the county and they're gonna, whatever, turn it into whatever they're gonna turn it into, you can send them out there to do how many people can occupy that building under the fire code. And my reason for bringing that up was if this was voted on to be a full-time position, then that is something that would, you know, like I said, I didn't know exactly how busy they would be in the beginning, but that would be something that we could add to that. But, and also the other, you know, like I said a while ago, I'm trying to look ahead to make sure I'm heading off any potential problems that could arise from other offices or, you know, that as well. But anyway, that's where I'm at.
I don't know as far as, you know, the vehicle situation. I mean, I think like Dan, I think them having a vehicle accessible to be able to respond to stuff is going to be more efficient.
I mean, if I call the guy, I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be Monday through Friday during business hours. I'm not gonna call him out at 8 o'clock at night. That's me. I mean, usually I don't even know about it till the next morning anyway.
The money to pay his salary, that's from some COVID money, Terry?
No, it will not be.
It will not be.
When we first talked about it, a couple of years ago, yes, but that money, no. This position will not be funded by that position, I mean by ARPA.
Mr. Brewer? Any thoughts?
Well, my thoughts, going back to what Jason said, if we do add some fire marshal duties or something of that nature, I'm thinking, he's probably gonna need a take-home vehicle, because one of the things that we discussed is the fact that there's some liaison with our volunteer fire departments, going out and meeting with them, talking with them, inspecting. I don't know if that would add too many duties to them or not, but volunteer fire departments meet after hours. And if he needs to go to those, then we've got to look at doing it that way. And I'm of the opinion that there's enough work, just like y'all are saying with your duties, and with some of the fire marshal type duties, for lack of a better term, we'll have plenty of work for them to be full time.
Yeah, looking at this overall, when I would hire somebody at the shop, I wouldn't put them on part-time and then see how they work out. No, they come on full-time, but they're kind of on probation. Yeah, we kind of see, because number one, they're gonna need training. They're gonna have to figure out what their job is, because this is a brand new position. And you know, with the job description, he's gonna have to learn, or they're gonna have to learn their job. And plus there's special training that they're gonna have to go through that other positions don't go through. And just to get his feet underneath him the first year. If you're, you know, I'm not throwing rocks at Jason's plan, because it's very valid, a valid argument. But to get his feet underneath him, he's gonna need to do it every day. You know, or else we'll have our guys do it. Like we've been doing. But when I'm weighing things out in my mind. Number one, you won't get a part-time person to do this. And number two, he'll be a full-time, part-time, if that makes sense, when it's all said and done. We're gonna have to go back and restructure everything, because his days will be full, or their day will be full, whoever.
I mean, in this person, like I said, on the training, they're going to keep up the environmental side of it as well as the law enforcement on that side of it. So,
As well as new hats.
yeah, any fire stuff there that, you know, we'll have to look at that as well. And I do know on the environmental deal, they do from what I had gathered, looked at, researched, they do a conference. I think it's in April every year, where they, a week long, where they try to get all their people, get their certifications, updates and things that they need to do.
Well, the other thing I look at it with this is it's gonna be a constant learning
Yes.
matter, for them to get up to speed, you know, with it. They'll be busy, I think, all the time. I can't imagine them not being busy. And certainly if we could, you know, borrow them to, or whatever you want to call it, to maybe work with, volunteer fire departments to whatever extent it's needed to check out their equipment, just verifying that it works, something like that. Scheduling all that with what, 25 departments, I think. if we were, to go that route. And, that was the reason we were talking about, fire marshal anyway, was someone that's knowledgeable needs to be able to look at trucks, vehicles, whatever, and know whether the equipment that is there works. Needs to see that they work, schedule it, go out, watch it happen, so on. So I believe that it'll be full-time. I don't think there's any way around it.
I agree. Last Friday, I could have kept it busy Friday, today and tomorrow. We had 80-something tires done. Plus the regular 12, 15 bags of trash, just in different locations. I mean, I think I can keep it busy myself.
Yeah, at any given time, the road from the bowling alley to retreat, there's a bedroom suite, complete with box springs, mattresses, dressers, recliners on that little S curve. And Love Bridge Road. We went down there one time and there was 12 mattresses down there. So, yeah, we work hard at keeping this stuff up and getting it picked up, but man, it's just every day there's more and more.
Plus being out and leaking will help a lot too. Just for him
Being seen.
being seen, yes.
All right, Terry, is there anything else we need to visit on?
No, that's the only one that we had today.
Okay.
And we talked about the debt, and then that's it that I had for today.
Well, we can,
Well, can I make a request that if it is gonna be a full-time position, that we do include these duties, not as a fire marshal, but what they can do in those areas.
I think it'd be good.
That'd be great.
Of course, that's another school he's gonna have to go to.
I don't think
Our
so.
truck-
I don't
Our
think
truck
so.
inspection, no.
No, it doesn't have to be
I
a
don't-
certified fire marshal.
No.
Doesn't have to have a
Oh, but for his
certification
own
for that.
knowledge
Yeah,
of the
his
equipment,
knowledge.
he needs to go to a
Yeah.
school that shows
Well-
him how to do that.
Start it up and watch it pump.
Yep.
If it doesn't do that,
Tag it out.
you don't have, it ain't rocket science. Show me what you got. And look at the roster. See if it matches. That's all it is.
Okay, next item on this is a recess until 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Y'all want to go ahead and go with that? Or you have anything else y'all need to talk about, or we need to talk about?
Yeah, on the, I wonder if we can, the city had mentioned something about getting some numbers from Allegiance as well. I wonder if we will have, I wonder how long do we have those numbers? If we'll have them before we make any more budget decisions.
I don't know. She didn't mention when it would occur. I can call her and ask her. See what.
We might want to go straight to Allegiance and ask for those numbers. I got some numbers a couple of months ago from Allegiance, called them, found out it was 33%.
That was their number.
So,
Looks like it's across the board, 33% of the time they spend at the county. Yeah, not 50. Plus, I want an ambulance report every month. Runs, where they were, because it's $1,200 a throw. And a $15 haul fee per loaded mile if they transport back. If they don't transport back, there's no charge. So I want to know how these things break down rather than just this number is what you owe. How can we verify that? That's not good business, guys.
that's on the ambulance we're paying for.
When we get our bill from O'Reilly, when we get our bill from Napa at the shop, we check invoices off. If we don't have an invoice, it don't get paid until we get a copy of that invoice. This is just business 101. Okay, to me. It's real simple, and if you wait for 12 months of it, it's overwhelming. But if you get it every month, it's something that's very easy to fact check. And it keeps everybody honest. My opinion.
Mr. Brewer, what do you want to call them again,
I can do that.
derive a little more information?
I can do that.
Maybe we can have it
You're on a
tomorrow.
first name basis with them there. Yeah, I'll be glad to do that. See what I'll find out. You know, that will give us information on the Allegiance ambulance service. I don't know that we can get any information on the city-owned ambulance that they man and run out periodically.
Right. The periodic is all you get,
Yeah,
how many runs they made, in a given month.
And they said that they use this ambulance when Allegiance is busy.
mhm.
Not all the time. But only when Allegiance has all their stuff out, all their hands are out making runs and they get another call. That's when they send this reserve ambulance out with their EMTs and paramedics. So it shouldn't be that often, and I believe 5 runs a month.
They've got that.
I just want verification for all the numbers. Because it's good business. Good.
There you go.
Yep.
Request the report from the city asking them for those runs, and then you can go back and verify them with dispatch, how many times that ambulance for the city has been sent out.
Do that before lunch today.
So if y'all want to recess for tomorrow, then we can. But I also think we have another meeting scheduled for Wednesday too. I just had, to make sure that we have them there available if y'all want to meet and discuss more, if we get more information.
Okay.
So if y'all want to not even recess till tomorrow, that's fine, but we have another meeting scheduled for Wednesday morning.
I'm gonna be gone for a little while Wednesday morning.
Because I don't know if we'll be able to get all that information by tomorrow's board meeting.
Yeah.
But even if
True.
we do, we can even recess on Wednesday till Thursday too, so I mean. I just have it scheduled for this week. Because Monday I'm hoping to adopt this budget.
Yes,
Need a motion to recess.
I move that we recess until 10 a.m. Tuesday morning.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Moore, seconded by Commissioner Grant. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And we are in recess until tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Makes some fun. Tell me. This time. This time.
I'm sorry. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry for you. Yeah.